Wanda, and ways in which you could get involved if God willed that to be the case. So let's go ahead and open up with a word of prayer. Brother Jeff will lead us in a few songs, and then we'll get right into our update here this evening. So let's go ahead and pray. Lord, we're thankful for this time that you've given us. We're thankful for the opportunity to come together tonight to give you all the honor and glory for what you have done in our lives and what you continue to do. And we just thank you for the fact that we can see the gap being bridged through the gospel across the oceans, across the continents, and ultimately, Lord, we know that there's unity in you, and I pray that you can remind us of that here even this evening. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening. Shall we stand? Hymn number 780. 780, oh beautiful for spacious skies. First, second, and last verse. 780. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare for freedom's beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Thank you. You may be seated right across the page. 781, My Country 'Tis of Thee. 781, first, second, and last verse. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring. My native country, the land of the noble free, thy name I love. I love thy rocks and rills, thy woods and templed hills. My heart with rapture thrills like that above. Our Father's God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Lord, may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God, our King. Pastor.
All right. So as you know, we did take a trip to Rwanda not too long ago, and while it was still fresh on our minds and fresh on our hearts, we wanted to share with you what God was doing there and what we were able to experience and what we were able to do. So there were 5 people that came from Middletown Baptist Church, along with our sponsor, our leader, who is my brother-in-law, Isaac. He is a youth pastor in a church in Alabama. So he went, and then we went with 2 other people from another church out in Missouri called Two Rivers Church. And they came. It was a mother and a son. They came with us. And so altogether, it was a team of 8 of us. And we flew in, obviously, basically knowing what we were going to do, but not really what we were going to do. We came in, and Brother Bob and I had an opportunity to do a 3-day men's conference with the men. The other folks predominantly were working with the children and doing some wonderful things with VBS and within the school and within the church. And they're going to tell you more about the way that God worked through them and for them. And I don't want to steal any of that from them in that time. We're going to show you some pictures, some videos. One of my favorite things in school was show and tell, so I have a few things that I want to show you guys and tell you about, and then hopefully, if there is any at the end questions, we can talk about that. But I do want to save some time at the end to share with you some of the more pressing needs that are in Rwanda from Bible Way Baptist Church, and some of the things that they're facing there. You may or may not know, but Rwanda is a very small country. It's about a third of the size of Pennsylvania. But there's 14 million people in Rwanda, and with the 14 million people there, there's about 20 Bible-believing churches without the whole country. And so, as you can tell, they're under-churched, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the main reasons why there's not that many churches is because the government is imposing a lot of sanctions and restrictions upon where people can meet for church. Not because it's religious persecution out and out. Obviously, indirectly, there's some religious persecution through that, but really it's a third world country trying to move themselves into being a first world country, and in so doing, they want to make sure that everyone's up to code and everyone's meeting in the proper facilities. But as you might be able to understand, with not a lot of money, it's very hard to get your facilities up to code, especially if you're going from a mud hut building to try to put in security cameras and handicap ramps. And so in so doing, I think it was about 90% of the churches closed or more, closed back in 2018, and then furthermore in 2024. So the church that we went to was one of the very few churches in all of the country that's still open, still running, still doing things. And so we didn't necessarily come and recreate and start a church. They already have a church running there, and they're ready to start many more. And we'll talk to you a little bit more about how they're looking to do that later on. So without further ado, I'm going to ask, the Poolies went, so Jonah and Jeremy went. So I'm going to ask them to come forward in whatever order they're coming. I guess Jeremy's coming first. Jeremy's going to share with you his testimony. I believe they have some pictures. And then we'll just move person by person as we get through this.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Pastor. First, I just wanted to start and say thank you to each of you. I know you prayed for us while we were gone. I know you were worried about it. And so I just want to first thank you for that. I knew there was a lot of financial support. I know that a lot of folks gave, which was huge. There's some of you who knew that we were going to go work with kids and knew that we were doing a vacation Bible school. So you donated toys and crafts for the kids. So I just want to say thank you for that as well. And then there's others who came up to us individually and supported us, knowing that we're going to be traveling, we're going to be in the airport, we're going to need to buy lunch, dinner. So I know a lot of you gave us money for that as well. So I just want to say thank you again. And then I do want to point out Tom and Lee drove us to the airport, it was JFK, so it wasn't like it was 45 minutes away. It was 3 hours away. So thanks to them for driving us to the airport. And then Mark Romali picked us up from the airport. Again, 3 hours there, 3 hours back. So definitely thank him, because it was a none of us would have wanted to drive after getting off the plane. But I wanted to start just give you a little bit of the background about how we actually planned it. So we worked with Come Away Missions. They asked us, well, what can we do? Like, what would we want to do on the trip? What are we able to do? What are our skills? What are things we like to do? So we told them, well, at least Jonah and I said, well, we like working with kids. We like doing sports. We like doing anything physical. So if the men are working in areas there at the church, we're happy to help and do something like physical that we can actually work with them in and talk to them. So they built that into the schedule. So we worked with Come Away Missions. They built out a schedule for the whole 2 weeks where every hour we were doing something. They had it very well planned out. So it was a very well-run organization. So we always felt, one, we felt very safe the entire time. Two, we felt it was very organized. Like we knew exactly what we were going to do. But as Pastor mentioned, we knew what we were going to do, but not really knew what we were going to do because we didn't know what we were walking into. But we had said that we wanted to work with kids. So part of the opportunity was to do a vacation Bible school. They have 2 churches that we visited. One, they said, planned for maybe 30 kids. The next church planned for maybe 50 kids. So it's okay, we can handle that. So it was 5 of us that were going to be working with the kids. We get to the first church, Bible Way, there in Kigali, which is the capital. I think the capital has about 2 million people, and there's only maybe 2 or 3 churches in the whole capital. So you can imagine a lot of people are eager for that church to get started. Right now, it's only the school. The church hasn't started worshiping yet. I think that's going to be once they finish doing the code for the church and get their certificates, then they can open up for service, which they're planning for next year. But we were able to work with the kids, and we walk in. I think we were planning for like 25 or 30. It was probably twice that when they all walked out. But they walked out at once, and it was, I think they were like nursery school, maybe 3, 4 years old. So adorable. They were like so tiny. I thought they would be afraid of us. They walked up. They didn't say anything. They just walked right up to us and started hugging us. So John, all of us, we just got on our knees, and they just walked up and just started hugging us and were like all over us. So that was just warmed our hearts. I mean that was the best moment of the trip so far. I think that was like on the Tuesday. We had gotten there on Monday. So that was very special. That was the first time we got to be with the kids. And I know I went to Jonah, and I was like, oh, your mom, she's kicking herself for not being here, because I knew she would just die. With all these kids just coming up, just hugging us and saying, oh, we love you, and they don't even know us. They just know that we're there to be with them and help. And we planned a skit. We planned some games. We had stickers and bubbles, and they just went crazy over the bubbles. It was just like the wand bubbles you just blow, and the kids just went crazy over that. And they were taking the stickers, and all you could hear was me, 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 me. They would put their hands up. They wanted you to put the stickers on them. And they didn't speak English as well. The next church we went to did speak English really well. But these kids, it felt like all they could say was me, 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 me next, me next. And they would just want us to put stickers on them. But we did a game, so we did a quick skit on Jesus' parable of the Good Shepherd and the one lost sheep. So we had them, we did a little skit for them, and then we played a game where we picked one of them to be the lost sheep. And then we all went searching for the lost sheep. So we tied, to try to tie in that message for them. I think they understood it. I think they got it, and I think it was fun for them. And then we did a tour of the church, and then we went to the next site, which was in Gahara, which is the village outside of Kigali. It was about maybe an hour and a half outside of the capital. That church is the center of the village. So the village, I don't even know what the population of the village is, but they said there's people walking from 5 miles away to this church, which is the center. And we were expecting, I think they said 50 plus kids. It was 120. Well, I guess technically it is 50 plus, but it would have been better if they'd have told us it was 100 plus. So we had enough crafts for maybe 50 kids. But it turns out it was 120, so we had to stretch it a little bit. But it was still fun. We did a typical VBS. We started out with a skit. We did songs, which John will talk about. We did games, which Jonah can talk about. And then we did crafts. and then a message. So one of the crafts, it was Jen's idea to do to make beaded bracelets. So in each bead was a color of the gospel. So John walked through the colors of the gospel. So black for sin, yellow for the streets of gold, green for newness. So he was able to walk through that with them, and then we lined them up and we made little bracelets for them. And again, I think we were planning for 50 and we made 120. So, but that was exciting working with them. And the kids in Gahara, they were in their school, they were learning English, French, and Swahili. So with those 3 languages, you can go anywhere in Africa. Every nation in Africa speaks one of those 3 languages. So they teach that. So I was impressed with how smart the kids were. They came up to me and would say, "Parlez-vous français?" And I'm like, "No, I don't speak French." And they would, "You speak Swahili?" I'm like, "No, I don't speak Swahili." So I could just look at like the disappointment on their faces, and I felt like, all right, well, maybe you should be teaching me. So, but they were just really good kids and well behaved. We had them in groups. Like I said, it was 120 of them, so we broke them up into groups based on ages, and we had maybe 60 at a time just in the classroom with us doing the lesson and doing the crafts. But they were all so well behaved. We had them sit down in groups, and they didn't, it wasn't like the kids in the U.S. are all over the place. They would sit very quietly. They would do exactly what they were told. And afterwards, they would come and they would hug us, and they would just be so appreciative of everything that we were doing. So that was just amazing to see, and just the joy. And when you're there, the poverty really strikes you. Like, it is just noticeably a need there. So, but everyone's smiling, laughing, friendly, just so much joy, but having so little. So it is very aware, and you're very self-aware when you're there, that we are so blessed. And Pastor Carlos says this every Sunday night. We are so blessed to live in America and just have the blessings that we have. And you feel that when you're there. But you also, from their point of view, they have so much joy, and they know that where that joy comes from. And there's a lot of times where we just don't have that kind of joy. So we rely on our money, rely on our things that we have, and yet we don't rely on the joy that we should, which is Jesus Christ. And they do. So it was just great to see that, even at just the young age with the little kids. And they would just crawl all over us. Jonah would have them on his arms. He was lifting them up like this, and there were just 3 or 4 of them just hanging on him at any given time, which was special for me. I mean, that was one of my favorite things to see, was Jonah interacting with the kids. And just like he does here with VBS, it was the same thing there, just magnified. And he can talk about the games that they played. But then we did another day similar, where we did a lesson, and we did coloring. We brought a bunch of supplies that were donated by the church, or by members of the church. So we had crayons and coloring pages and just different things that we sat down with the kids. The sad part was we were working with the kids that were there in the church and the school, but there's other kids in the village that either went to the public school or didn't go to any school at all, and they were looking in the windows. So while we're working with the kids that we're there for, there's other kids that are just looking in the windows, with their hands out, saying, "Please, can I have some? Can I have a crayon? It's one crayon." So that was heartbreaking. And there were other times where when we were feeding the kids, there was kids looking in the window, and you could just see that I don't know if they've eaten that day, but that was hard. That was that was hard for everybody. But again, even the kids outside who weren't in school were still they were still happy to see us, and again, it was so much joy, and I think it was just the newness of seeing someone from America there. They were excited by that, so it was still a great experience. But again, it was just very eye-opening to see see the kids and the need that's there, the poverty that's there. But it was a great opportunity, great experience. We never felt at any point that we ever feel unsafe. We ate. Everyone asked, like, "What did you eat?" We ate a lot. We ate. I brought snacks just in case, and I never touched them. I never ate. Never touched any of the snacks that I brought. Every meal, really, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there was French fries, chicken, beef. I mean, it was food we would hear, no issues whatsoever. Really good food. I was actually hoping to lose weight on the trip, and I did not, clearly. So we had just a great time. And again, we did not feel unsafe at any point. The group took care of us, but even while we were out in the city, everyone was so friendly. Everyone would come up to us. We never felt like someone was going to rob us or anything. It was pickpockets, nothing like that. Everybody was around us was always very respectful, and people in the village were just always very welcoming and friendly. They wanted to serve us. We were there to serve them. Like, that was what we told Come Away Missions. Like, hey, we want to go serve. But when you're there, they want to serve you because that's how they make you feel. They want to be hospitable, so they want to serve. You almost have to stop and let them serve you, and that's part of the humility is you're there to serve them, but you want to also let them serve you. So it was that took some getting used to, but they were just everyone again so friendly. And everyone asked, was it hot? No, not really. It was 80 degrees. It's a high elevation, so even though you're right on the equator, it's I think the elevation is like 5,000 feet, so it's about like Denver. Not hot at all. 80, which was nothing compared to here the other day. At night, it was actually cool, like maybe in the 60s, so we would wear long sleeves at night. I worried about animals, bugs. Never saw any animals outside when we were doing we went to a wildlife preserve where we got to see the animals, but other than that, no really animals at all. I only saw maybe 3 or 4 mosquitoes the whole time I was there, and yet I'm taking malaria medicine. I don't think I get bit by a mosquito the entire time there. And ironically, I come back to Delaware and I'm eat up with mosquitoes. So, I think I brought a bag full of all first aid items. Never touched any of them. It was a very safe trip. So if anyone's thinking about it for next year, it is not something you should worry about. It is not something that none of you could handle. I mean, I can look around and say anyone here can definitely have done the trip, any age. There was no issues whatsoever. So I would encourage you all, if you get the opportunity, to definitely take it. You'll learn a lot. We all went hoping to serve, like I said, but I think, and Jonah made this point earlier, it felt selfish. Like, I think we came away with more than what we left them. But we hope that we were a blessing to them. It felt like it from their faces and from their expressions that we were, but I hope that we were. We definitely brought the message. We talked about the gospel. We did home visits where we walked outside of the village and met with folks who don't come to church and whose kids aren't in the school. We were able to share the gospel with them. And it was just great to see how they lived and just their environment and just understand more about them. For all of us, it was more about learning, just experiencing, learning outside of our country, just seeing how learning about another culture, just learning about their experiences, and then what God does in their life, and just seeing that acted out in their life. Again, I think we took away more than we brought, which is another reason I would encourage any of you to go. If it's not Rwanda, then go do a missions trip somewhere. Definitely within the country. You shouldn't go outside the country if you're not also working here in Middletown. But after sharing here in Middletown, go share outside of our country just to experience how God works in other countries in other ways. It is eye-opening and just a great experience. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. I'm guessing we'll come back up and answer any questions. But I think that's everything I was going to cover. And whatever I didn't, I know Jonah will cover. So, but once again, just thank you so much for sending us. You went with us. We know that. And I just want you to know that. We felt your prayers. And we could have only gone because you provided for us. So thank you so much for sending me and sending Jonah and sending the rest of the group. So thank you.
Hello, church. This was my first ever missions trip, so I really didn't know what to expect. I was very nervous and a little bit scared. But very quickly, it all went away. um, from the second we met our pastor in Rwanda and everyone we would be working with, everyone was so inviting and loving. Just hearing their stories was so amazing. I'm sure Pastor's going to talk about the person we were working with's name was John Baptiste. He has such an amazing testimony. And I had the opportunity to work with the children in Gahara. I was in charge of the games, and I help out here at Middletown, but the kids in Gahara are just they're the sweetest kids I think I've ever met. Like, they are so sweet and loving, and from the second we got out of the van, they were all running up to us, trying to give us high fives, hugs. They were, like my dad said, they were jumping on me. They were trying to grab my arms, and I made the mistake of lifting one kid up, and then there was a line of about 40 kids who wanted me to throw them up in the air. And that was just such a loving experience. We got to run VBS at the church there, and just seeing the love these kids have for the Lord was such a humbling experience, because I don't think I was that excited when I was a kid, and just seeing how much they wanted to learn and their willingness. Like, these kids would just break out singing Jesus Loves Me, and they would invite me to sing along with them, and that was just so amazing, because I teach on Wednesday nights, and it's hard to get my kids to all do one thing, and but that was just such an amazing experience. And I got to play soccer with all the kids, and they are a lot better than I am at soccer. They asked me, do I play soccer in the States? And I said, yeah, I play a little bit. And then I actually started playing with them, and they're like, you don't play soccer. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't play soccer. But they were very very sweet playing soccer too. Every time someone fell over, or if they missed a shot, they would pick them back up and say, you're so close, or better luck next time. And I remember I made a shot and it hit the crossbar, and they all started making fun of me and pointing at me because I hit the crossbar, and they were jumping on my back and trying to lift me up, and it was like, it was just such it was a different experience. Sorry, I'm just kind of losing my words here, but these kids don't have a lot. We went into their houses to do home visits, and there was very little. But still, these kids came to school with smiles on their faces, ready to learn, ready to play, and some had to travel, miles just to come to school. Going into the village, there's this huge sort of hill that you have to travel, a very steep hill, and we got to walk down it on the last day of being in the village, and just walking down it was tough. So, imagine having to walk up the hill every single day, early in the morning. I mean, it was very humbling, because I think a lot of times we take for granted what we have, and I think sometimes we're so quick to complain about our circumstances, but these little kids have it so much harder, yet they come to this church with smiles, with hospitality, with love in their hearts. And it was such an amazing experience. And this was actually the soccer ball we used. It was actually smaller than this. It was about the size of a softball. And we would play that out in the courtyard. And the second you'd bring out a soccer ball, all the kids would get so excited and be, running around. They would try to take the ball out of your hand. They were so excited to play soccer. Yeah, it was a very, heartwarming experience, and getting to share the gospel with them. Again, everyone was so well behaved, all the kids, sitting in circles, and everyone paying attention, eyes on the teacher. It was very different. And I just want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to go on this trip. I'm looking forward to going on trips in the future. So I just want to say thank you for any financial support and prayers, and from driving us to the airport and driving us back from the airport. It was truly a blessing. Thank you.
If you don't know what that soccer ball is made of, they wrap banana leaves really tightly with twine. And so I had to take one home with me too to show my kids that that's what they play with there. And then they had a bigger ball that they're using for volleyball. I got a video of that later. But they're creative in their toys and their sports there. All right, John's gonna come forward. John was our music man while we were there. He was leading the music with the kids, and I'm sure he'll speak to that. So John, you come up, and then as soon as Brother John's done, Brother Bob will come, and then then we'll continue on, and I'll show you guys a few videos and pictures of our trip there.
Ah. So this is what it feels like. Hello, everybody. My name's John. Probably met a few of you guys every now and then. So, this is my third mission trip. I went to India for the past 3 years, so I've kind of learned how to kind of get used to this certain thing. Each time that I'm there, it's powerful and it's beautiful. It's always the same thing. So whenever I go, I always tell them, I speak English, but I don't speak, in this case, Kinyarwandan. Or if I was in India, I'd say I don't speak Hindi. I don't speak a certain language. So then I would get somebody, in this case, I would say, Jonah, I don't know how to communicate with these people. Now, you guys are fine. I can easily communicate with you. But Jonah, I don't know how to communicate with these people, with the children. Like, how do I do that? And then Jonah would most lovingly put up his hands for me, so that I can kind of perfect. So when I was younger, when I was that age, I used to go to a Christian camp called Pocono Plateau. It's up in the Poconos. And glory to God, I'm able to now send my daughter to that same camp and do these same songs with her, and kind of circle back to my childhood, which is a wonderful thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you all to show me your hands. Let's see your hands. You all have hands. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So I'm glad we have a mic stand here for this too. This works out. This is wonderful. Usually I didn't have one. So okay. So ready? Beautiful. You can say it back to me. Beautiful. Wonderful. Beautiful. Wonderful. Jesus makes beautiful. And Jesus makes beautiful things of my life. Okay, and we're signing to each other, okay? All right? Very good. Oh, I like it. See, that's why you're here. I'm glad you're here. I see, I could always use correction. I'm always a work in progress, so I'm okay with that. So watch me, okay? Whoop. Yes. Up. See, I used to go down. Up now. Okay, thank you. Carefully touching me, causing my eyes to see that Jesus makes Beautiful. Things of my life. Life. Whew. You should be up here. You should be up here and sing. I'm going to mess that up because for 30, 40 years now I've been doing it this way. Right. I understand. Well, once again, I was.
So it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff, would you tell her to work with me, please? I may need some help later in the future for that. But anyway, so we're going to sing the song. Just to have the kids kind of do it with me. Just kind of like to kind of cohesive bring us together in a way. So, how do we start? So I asked them, how do we start? Children, how do we start? Beautiful? Okay, good. Beautiful. You sing? Beautiful. Jesus makes beautiful. And Jesus makes beautiful. All of my life. Okay. Carefully touching me, causing my eyes to see. Beautiful, church. Jesus makes beautiful. All of my life. Thank you very much for that. So, like I said, I've been on other mission trips before, and we've done this before. We've kind of debriefed, and we're kind of asking the church to kind of, be more involved and help and, see the pictures and the movies. And we try to do that. We try to portray that. But the beauty thing about what I've seen in this church is it's already being done. We usually come here and we say, church, whether you go into the mission field or whether you go where they're holding the rope to send somebody into the well, you're going to have scars in your hand. Okay? And the one thing that I can say about this church is whether you went, whether you're going to go, or whether you're supporting missions to go, all of you have scars in your hand, the same that Jesus did for us. So, thank you very much for having me, guys.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank the church for the prayer and support that they gave so that we could go. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you very much. They shared the ministry with the children, and I got to meet the children and observe and occasionally help out with the children's ministry. And like I said, those kids were just wonderful and loving. I mean, they're all over you when you show up. And a lot of fun. But the focus that Pastor Josh and I had was a ministry with the men, as he mentioned earlier. And we were running classes on training them in discipleship. We had about 20 men from the church, and they really were interested in learning. It was a absolutely fun class to teach with the enthusiasm of the students in the class. And even though most of them didn't speak English, you could feel the enthusiasm. We did it all through the teaching, all through a translator, or interrupter as some people call it. Give a sentence, they repeat it in the native language, next sentence. So it takes twice as long to go through everything. But then we also get feedback. They would say something in class, ask a question, then it would have to get translated. I had not done a class like that before. It was a very interesting experience. But really enjoyed the fellowship of those men. And one of the, as I say, we were teaching them discipleship. We were using the Paul and Timothy model, and we did some lessons on the background of the Paul and Timothy relationship and sharing the gospel as it's presented by Paul. And then as a practical part of the lesson, we were going to teach them how to present their own testimony and teach someone else to do the same. And so we provided them a 4-point outline to do their testimony. And by the way, that's something everyone here should be doing. You know, every Christian has a testimony. There's a lot of Christians that don't know how to share it because they never thought it through what to say. If you asked them for their testimony, they would sit there with wide eyes and a closed mouth because they hadn't thought it through. Simple outline, learn to share it. The Bible tells us, always be prepared to give an answer for the hope that's in you. And that's not a suggestion, that's a command of Scripture. Always be prepared. Well, we shared with them that outline, and we did the class on how to do it on Friday. And they were to take it home over the weekend, prepare their testimony on there. We suggested they practice it with their family and bring back on Monday, and we would talk about it. Well, Monday when they came back, we asked some of them to start sharing their testimony, and they were eager to do it. You know, here in the United States, when you ask a class to volunteer to get up and say something, the class is never more quiet. They were eager to get up and share their testimony. And I thought we would have maybe a few of them do it. We ended up with everyone, about 20 men there, every one of them shared their testimony. And interestingly, out of the 20 men there, I think there were 2 of them who had grown up with Christian parents. The rest of them were saved later in life. Some of them, most of them from very, very difficult backgrounds. You may be aware, back in the 1990s, Rwanda went through a period they call the Rwanda genocide. In a 100-day period of this civil war, more than 1 million Rwandans were killed in just 100 days. And there are memorials around the country to that now, and there wasn't a family in the country that wasn't touched by that. One of the men, now a believer in Christ, he actually spent time in prison after the genocide for his part in it. And to hear him share his testimony, how he came to Christ. And then as he talked about how Christ had saved him, he broke down in tears and watched the other men gather around him and pray with him. Very, very heartwarming, heartbreaking time with these men. Another thing on Friday, I had also told them as we gave them that, they're learning to be disciplers, that they should take this outline and find a younger believer that they can disciple and teach them to do the same outline. Now, I wasn't sure what to expect on that question when we came back Monday. I think like American and would be surprised if at least one did took that up. Well, when I asked them how many had started teaching a younger believer how to do their testimony, 7 of the 20 were already discipling another person by the end of the weekend. We were excited, heart-filled afterwards. Pastor's going to be talking about opportunities in Rwanda. It's an open door. As was mentioned, there's very few Bible-believing churches in Rwanda today, and yet the country is open to the gospel. The issues with getting churches open is more bureaucracy than it is any religious persecution. They don't have a problem with Bible-believing churches there. They're just gung-ho to make safety codes and things that, people aren't quite ready for financially. Getting these churches open is now expensive because of the codes. But there's an open door for ministry there. There are people like the men we minister to who are willing and excited about ministering there to their own people. They just need the support to do it. I'd like to encourage you all to think about visiting Rwanda, going on a mission trip. I was very nicely informed I was the oldest person who ever went to Rwanda with Come Away Missions. So, anybody who's younger than me has no excuse. But thank you all for your participation, for driving, for giving, to support us as we went, to praying for us. It was a very, very moving and wonderful ministry that we had there, and thank you for the opportunity.
Now, I can vouch for Brother Bob. He was putting a lot of people to shame. He was the oldest one from Come Away, and he was walking, he was working, never complained once, and he was impressive. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for everyone. It was a wonderful team, a lot of unity, and we were excited to share some pictures with you. So it is the moment that you've all been waiting for. I'm going to see which side of the screen is up there. I'm going to try to go through these pictures as quickly as I possibly can, but at the same time, if you need to leave, you can leave. But I'm going to go through these pictures because we went all the way to Rwanda, and we are going to try to show these pictures to you. So this is what it looks like when you get to the airport. I was expecting to fly. Can you put me on the lapel, because I'm probably going to start walking around. Okay. I was expecting to fly into an airport and come into a terminal. We flew in, got out of the plane, and we're outside. And this is the sign that we saw. And so we came into the Kigali airport. The very next day, we hit the ground running, and they gave us an education on their history of their country. And as Brother Bob already mentioned, in 1994, really it was the catalyst of a lot of propaganda, a lot of hate within the country. But one tribe was charged to kill the other tribe. You have the Hutus and the Tutsis. The Hutus were the majority class. The Tutsis were the minority class. And the Hutu president got killed. A lot of people blamed it on the Tutsis. And so exactly at that moment when the president was killed, they were called by the whole country to go door to door and wipe out people. And so, like Brother Bob said, 1 million people were killed in around 1 month, about 100 days. I think it was completely 100 days there. And so it was so interesting to hear the level of forgiveness that they had, because you can't ask them what tribe they are anymore, because they'll say, we're no longer any tribe, we're Rwandan. And there is a sense of unity and forgiveness. And we sat in a circle with men that some men were Tutsis, some men were Hutus. And by the way, the pastor that you're going to meet here in a few moments, Pastor John Baptiste, he was part of the tribe that got chased out and was shot at, had family members killed. And yet he came back to the very town that chased him away and is ministering to individuals that did the very persecution to him. And that is a measure of forgiveness and unity that I am not used to, and it's very difficult. So we did get a chance to go to the Genocide Memorial there. I will show you some more pictures about that memorial later. This is the skyline of Kigali. Kigali is their capital city, right smack dab middle in the country, 2 million people. Very modern, it's not as modern as the U.S., but there's a lot of modern amenities there in Kigali. We stayed there, and then this is how everybody gets around. They ride the motorbikes, and there's no taxis there. Everybody jumps on a motorcycle. They jump across town. Every single corner, there's about 200 guys waiting to drive people around. This is how they make their money, and I definitely learned a few tips about next time I go, which guys to look for. The guys that wear flip-flops are not the guys you want to ride the motorcycle with, because it shows that they don't have any good footing, okay? So I was learning from the Rwandans, you got to get the guys with the good shoes on. You got to get the guys that wear the safety vest, okay? So we knew the ones that we should ride with. Here is a picture and a video, if I can turn the volume up here. That's the first town we went to. That's Mayumbu. Mayumbu is where they have a church building. They're not able to meet in church there yet, but they do have a school there. And so remember when Jeremy said they all started running in? This was the first exposure that we had to the children there. That's some more pictures of them getting in a circle, and we were about to minister to them. I'm going to scroll through a lot of these. Here's some more videos of them. They were singing songs for us, which is really exciting. You can see how happy they are to sing songs. Here's a picture of their uniform, and by the way, we're going to talk a little bit later about how you can sponsor a child. One of the things that comes along with the sponsorship is that each child gets a uniform. And you might not think that's important to them, but that's super important for them. They take a lot of pride in their uniform, and they wear it everywhere they go, and it's pretty exciting to see them wearing that Bible Way Baptist shirt. Again, there's a lot of videos that we could show you, but here's some of the pictures of them chasing the bubbles. There's Jeremy and Bob doing bubbles there, and they were just loving those bubbles. I thought my kids would be tired in about 5 minutes with these bubbles. Those kids would have gone on for all day if we just kept doing those bubbles, and so that was really neat to see. This is the guy on the left there, the fellow that's pointing, that's Pastor John Baptiste. He's giving us a tour of a place that he calls City on a Hill. He got to this place years and years ago, and it was just literally a hill. And now they've built a bunch of things there. What you see in that picture is a pile of bricks that they make and that they're storing there to build more buildings. In the back there is a house that they're building. It's a missions house where they plan to house missionaries that are coming to visit in the future. So you can see some of those pictures there. I found it very interesting. That's the outside of the building that has been built. It's ready to move into. They just have to get through the red tape, but it's a beautiful building. Can hold quite a few people, and so they're excited. And while we were there, on one of our last days, we were eating lunch, and they got the email that they have the last thing taken care of, and so it's pretty much an imminent thing that they're going to be moving into the second building, which is an awesome, awesome thing for them, and they're excited to get that ball rolling there in Mayumbu. Here's a picture. I don't know if you can tell in that picture, but you see the straw, and then you also see the pile of, looks like clay back there. That's how they make their bricks. Okay, if you don't know, they make their own bricks. They take the clay and they take the straw and they put that together, and then they make it into these bricks and they let it dry in the sun, and then eventually they start stacking them up, and then that's how they build their buildings. Now for me as an American, that was mind-blowing that they could just make their own bricks and put it together and build the buildings, but it shows that they're industrious, but it shows also that a little goes a long way with them. They're working all day just to make those things. And so this is the inside of the mission house here that we were looking into. Again, another picture of the outside. I'll scroll through these as fast as I can. This is the outside of the Bible Way Baptist Academy in Mayumbu. This is the first school that we attended and were able to minister to for that day. Here's a close-up picture of that wall. Here's the inside of the church at Mayumbu that they're going to be moving into soon. Very nice. My brother-in-law, Somerville Baptist Church, was able to pay for this building for them. And so this building was funded by an American church. And so now they're waiting to get into that. And Pastor John was talking to me, Pastor John Baptiste. He said that the day they open this building, they expect 500 to 600 people waiting at the door to worship the Lord there in Mayumbu. It's a growing city, kind of like Middletown is. People are flocking to this city, and so they're ready to get moving. So be praying for that. Here's a picture of the city on the hill, looking out over the hill. It's a very beautiful country, as you can tell. This is just a typical street that we were going down in Mayumbu. Some more streets here. I'm going to go through these as quickly as possible. This is the pastor's house. Some of you might know that in Africa, if they have a little bit of money, they build a compound. And so the pastor lives there with a compound. We were able to go and visit him, and we had an American tradition of s'mores there at his house. So Americans introduced s'mores to him, and so he now loves to eat s'mores with the Americans. And so we were able to do that, sing some songs, and get to know him a little bit better there in Mayumbu. We were traveling on the road. As you can see, it's a very hilly country. They call it the land of 1,000 hills. And so there's hills everywhere, mountains everywhere. It's so beautiful, as you can tell. There's some water. I was thinking, I'm going to Africa. I'm not going to see any water. It's going to be a desert. I was thinking Savannah Desert, like Sahara Desert. And no, there's a lot of awesome water. And actually, this is the headwaters of the Nile River. So this water flows into Lake Victoria. And as you know, Lake Victoria pours into the Nile River. And the Nile River is unique in the fact that it flows up north instead of flowing down south. And so he told me that sometimes they'll get some really big storms, and in the big storms, hippos and crocodiles will come up into this water. Now, we didn't encounter any of those there. We encountered hippos and crocodiles other places, but not here. And that was scary because there was people swimming in that water, by the way, and we'll talk more about that. All right, so this is in Gahara. We pulled into Gahara, and the first thing that I noticed, this is the village, is they have a banana plantation all around the church. And they use these bananas to sell and to eat. As you can tell, they got bananas up there. And I'm going to tell you, I don't eat a lot of bananas here in America. But I ate bananas there, and it changed my life, okay? So now I'm craving some Rwandan bananas, and so I've got to go back for that. And they have all different types. They told me they have 17 types. I said, 17 types? I didn't even know there were 17 types of bananas in the world. And so we were eating all different types. They have these little ones that are really, really good, and I missed that, but that was definitely something that we were eating there. And one thing that I will say about Pastor John is this. He is very industrious. He's very entrepreneurial. One of the things that he does is he uses his own money to buy up certain parts of land so that they can farm on those lands and make money for their church. So he's got banana crops, he's got eucalyptus trees, he's got coffee plants, he's got banana trees. And so a lot of the things that he's doing is to show that what money is invested into his ministry, he's using that not for himself, but to invest into others. And so he's a good steward of the money that's being sent to him. Now this is in Gahara. This is the little playground that they had there. The kids would circle up. They would sing, "We're getting in a big circle, big circle." They'll get in a circle. And John would get out there in the middle and sing for them, and we would all be out there, and it would be a great time. And so the kids didn't get the memo that I wasn't there to work with them. I was there to work with the men. The kids didn't know that. I get off the bus, I'm Mzumbu, which means white man. They say Mzumbu, and they run up and they give you a big hug, and at that point, I'm working with the children, okay? Because I love those kids. They were jumping up on me, and I didn't understand what they were saying at first. They were asking me what my name was. They were asking me how many children I had. They were asking me how old I was. I was getting overloaded with questions that I didn't know all the answers for. But by the end of the week, I knew how to respond back in Rwandan, Kinyarwanda. And so, by the way, I'll try to teach you some words if you're interested. I'll scroll through as many as I can here, but this is an example. That's an interpreter. John's talking to them, and their interpreter's talking to them. And that was happening quite a bit because the children do know English, but it's hard to hold conversations with them. Here's a picture of Brother Bob teaching in our men's class. And I'll show you what it was like to be interpreting. I'll show you a video here. This is Brother Bob teaching, and this is our translator, Samuel, who has become a good friend of mine. He's translating for Brother Bob in this next video. All right. So that's Brother Samuel. He was our translator. Believe it or not, I'm going to pause this. I asked my brother-in-law, what are some good things to start with? And my brother-in-law is like, play some games with the men. And I'm like, men don't like to play games. He's like, play some games with them. So this is one of the crazy youth group games that I brought to a bunch of adult men, and they were having a blast. Watch this. I don't even remember what this game was. I think it was we put beanbags under their chairs, and they had to close their eyes, and they were trying to smack each other with it. But they were loving it. Whatever it was, they were competitive. Here it is. It took us about 30 minutes to explain to them the game, but once they got it, they loved it. Oh, you see my shirt, sorry. Maybe it's another bit. So that's our interpreter, Samuel. He was a great guy, and we'll tell you more about him as we go along. As we're pulling out, these are the children that would be waiting there. These would have been children that were not part of the school. As Brother Jeremy mentioned, there's kids that are not going to school, or they go to public school, they can't afford the Christian school, but they'd be waiting there in the church property to just maybe get a glimpse of us and talk with us. And of course, we didn't ignore them. We talked with them, and they were a blessing for us. This is a video I took just for my children to show that children there work really hard. Look at those kids. They're holding water bottles. They go all the way down to the river and walk all the way back up with these jugs that are full of water, and that's how they get their water. And that's pretty impressive to see that they are willing to do that. Here's some pictures of the kids within the school. They were excited to see us. And one of the things that I love about their school is they're not just learning Swahili and English and French and math and science, even though those would be good, but they unapologetically get the gospel every single day. And these kids know the Bible. They all get presented the gospel. And when we support these people within their church and within their school, there are children in the community that are getting the gospel. And you know what happens there? Those kids take that gospel back home to their parents, and we're seeing people coming back to the church because of the church and the school ministry there. All right, a couple more. These are kids that are excited about their VBS stuff. I caught them coming out of VBS, and I'm like, show me your stuff. And they were holding it up for me, and they were super excited for that. This is really cool. So we were about to start our men's Bible study, and we didn't even ask them. And this is what they did. They just broke out in a song. And it was so beautiful that I'm like, I got to film this, and I got to show the church. And so this is just what they did. No one was conducting them. They just broke out in a song. I told a couple of the guys, we need you in our church for your singing, because they were really good singers. And they had a men's choir that we're going to show you in a second here. So this is where we were teaching the men. We had a classroom there, and we had an opportunity to do that. And Brother Bob was my partner in crime. We taught there in the school, and then we went out to the home visits, and that was a great time. Oh, they wanted to show you guys this here. So these are all the guys. They said, please, can we talk to your people? And I said, okay, yes. They wanted to. This is our men's group. We've had 2 days. All right, so that's them. More kids. I'll scroll. Oh, remember Jonas said that he picked up one kid, and they all wanted to be picked up? That's him picking up one of the kids, and then they all lined up there. So we did mention home visits. And so Brother Bob and I had a chance to visit some folks as well as the other people, but I only got pictures of our group. Pray for this lady. Her name's Serafina. She's going through a lot of struggles personally in her own life with her health and with her family. Some of these folks, there's no work in the village. So their husbands leave and go to the city, which is hours away. And sometimes they don't get to see their husband for quite some time because they're out working. And I wish I could tell you that in every situation that was on the up and up, but I'll try to be cautious with this. But some of the men in the village leave their families and go to another village and have another family, and that the cover story is that they're going for work. And so some of these women are raising multiple children on their own. And so obviously the gospel is what's going to change that. And many of the men that we met in our Bible study came from broken homes. They came from homes that had multiple women married to a man, and the one man, his mom was not the favored wife, and he felt rejected by his family. And so it's a very different family dynamic. And so we were talking with them, and one of the unique things is that now that Jesus has changed these men's life, they're wanting that type of relationship that God has ordained. And so it's a really exciting thing to hear them. So pray for Serafina. She's got some things going on in her life. This is another family that we were able to meet with, and I won't go into all the details, but a lot of broken nature within this family. We prayed with them. We're able to share with them the truth of Jesus, and we left them, I hope, with some hope. Another lady here, her whole family is in prison. We don't know what her family's in prison for, but she said that all my family's in prison, so be praying. So we definitely prayed for her, and that was another prayer request that I'd like to share with you guys there. I'm going to try to skip through a lot of this, but this would be an example of a little house that we were going to. Here's another one. These are just kind of mud huts, really small. I already mentioned this to you, but when you go in, there's dirt floors, there's animals running around. Definitely not in the way that we would be comfortable with in our country, but nonetheless, it's what they're living in, and we want to share with them the truth of Jesus Christ. Here's a picture. I had to take this picture. Brother Bob didn't even know I took this picture. We were walking down in the village, and all these kids come up to him, and they want your water. They want your water bottle. And Brother Bob didn't give them the water bottle, but he was pouring water into their hands. And they tell you, don't give them the water bottle, because if they have a water bottle, people will swarm them and try to steal it. So I just thought that was a sweet moment there. Brother Bob was giving them some water there in the village. And it was like so interesting, because we do house visits here in America, and we were doing the same thing in Rwanda, and the same thing is there. It's that community, it's that family, it's that fellowship that we can find in Jesus Christ. I'm going to scroll through more of these. You're going to see more. There's bricks. There's this is when we fed the children. And I won't go into all of this, but they get part of the sponsorship is that they get a sponsorship meal. And as you can see, you got little ones in the front eating food. In the back, there was about 200 kids there that were getting food that day. And so certainly a big help for them, because many of those kids are not getting food. And as Brother Jeremy mentioned, it was very tough to look outside of the windows and see children that aren't sponsored. And that will really mess with you. And we were prepared for that. People warned us it's going to be a very emotional experience. Because what I wanted to do was take food and go out there, but it's just not the way their culture is. We have to understand that there's limitations to the grace that's there in that ministry, because there's only limited resources. But being there and seeing that, there's no reason why any of those children really have to go without. And so it was definitely something that I'll never forget. And it was very hard, and I know all the other people that were there could echo the same thing. All right, so, that's the video of the volleyball. That's my brother-in-law, Isaac, playing volleyball with a banana ball there. Brother Bob even jumped in there and got involved with that. That was fun. This is their church service. They have a building that's pretty small, but they fit about 350 people in there. It was pretty neat to have everybody in there and having them. I tried to take a picture of them without being too weird, but they're like, who's this guy taking pictures of us in church? That's me trying to take a picture. This is their children's choir. So they have a children's choir there, just like we have children's choir here. Their children's choir sang a song, and that was pretty nice. I think I have a video of it here. So let's give you a little taste of their children's choir. I wish I could show you all the videos of their singing. It was beautiful, but for the sake of time, we won't. But I got to show you guys this one. This is the men's choir. I didn't know what they were saying, but I had a guy next to me telling me later what they were saying. It was about trusting in the Lord and being ready for his return. So this is Pastor John Baptiste. I already mentioned him before. He's the senior pastor. Now, they have a pastor that's over the church in the village. He's over multiple ministries, but he's basically the man that is the leader. He's the one that started this church. He started this church under a mango tree. Okay, so his first church was the shade of a mango tree, and he had a little boy come up, and he gave the gospel to that little boy, and then that little boy got saved, and that little boy started sharing. And you know what? In the middle of the service, one of the guys that was up there singing in the choir was that little boy that he led to the Lord under the mango tree. And we see that church grow to what it is today. And so his story, he's one of my heroes of the faith. I could tell you story after story of how he was running from people that were trying to kill him. For 2 years, he spent time in the jungle, never was able to be in a home. And I'll tell you this, him and his wife are some of the most joyful, kind people. I would look at any situation in my life and say, how could I ever complain? Because Pastor John doesn't complain. And I had a situation where my shower wasn't working, and I was about to go complain, and I said, I can't complain because Pastor John went 2 years without a shower, so I can't say anything. And so the idea for me was just to get to know him. And by the way, if I had more time, I wish I could keep you guys longer. But I asked Pastor John, what would you want me to tell my church when I went back? And he said this, and I'll summarize. He says, we definitely want your support, but we want more than money. He said, Americans can throw money all over the place, and that does help. But more than that, we want a partnership. He says, we want people who are invested in the work to be a part of the work, to be able to see it, to be able to support it, to be the hands and feet. He says, we want more than just someone that we get a monthly report from. We want a church that will partner with us and be an extension of Bible Way Baptist, and then they be extension of our church. I can tell you that Pastor John is from a different country, has different culture, but Pastor John and I are on the same page when it comes to discipleship. I mean, it was awesome to sit on the bus with him and sit there for like an hour and a half just talking about church and discipleship and training and pastoring and preaching and all those things. And I'm like, man, I have found a brother in another pastor across the world. And I think that in that moment, I realized that there are a lot of missionaries all over the world that we could support. But I will tell you that God definitely places certain people on your heart. And I'm going to tell you, honestly and transparently, God has placed Pastor John on my heart. And he has placed Bible Way Baptist in Mayumbu and in Gahara on my heart. And certainly there's other churches, certainly there's other countries. But I'm going to tell you that this man right here is devoted to serving the Lord. And he wants friends, he wants partners, he wants encouragement. And so I would encourage you to think about and pray about how we as a church can be partnering with Bible Way Baptist. There's so much potential with this church in Rwanda. He wants to train pastors. He wants to plant churches. By the way, he trained the current pastor of this church. He has about 10 pastors that he's encouraging and training currently. And he's doing a lot more within the schools. He runs both of the schools. He has plans to start more schools. Unfortunately, many of his churches, he had planted about 30 churches. And of those 30 churches, as you know, only one is left and one is about to restart. And so he has plans to restart all these churches. A lot of it's just resources, time and resources. So I'll scroll through a few more of these. I'll try to go as quickly as I possibly can. That's a picture of me and the pastor and his wife there in the valley. Here's a picture of our whole team. I got to show you this video because this is pretty neat. We walked down to the water where they get their water, and there's these kids in homemade boats made from a tree, and I just thought that was so impressive and so neat. And this picture of that. That guy doesn't look too happy that I'm taking a picture of him, but I hope he forgave me for that. This is a picture of these kids. They're down in the water. There was a kid that just jumped into the water. You can see him swimming in the water there. This is the water that they said the crocodiles and hippos come up into when the rains are there, but we weren't in the rainy season. I want to tell you more, but this is just more. Look at this guy. He's got bananas on his bike. He's carrying bananas. We saw that was a common theme, but I had to take a picture of one guy doing that. More kids working. This is more kids at the church there in. I got to show you guys this video. We did tug of war with them, the boys versus the girls. The boys won. But then right after this, we did all the kids versus the adults, and all the kids won. So that made their trip. So I got to tell you guys this quick story. So that guy in the middle is Samuel. Obviously, you know Bob and you know me. So I left, and we were taking a break, and I come back in, and he had my Bible, and he was reading my Bible. And he said, Pastor Josh, I really like your Bible. He said, it's very readable, it's big print, I just love it. I knew where he was going. I said, well, Brother Samuel, do you want my Bible? He goes, I would very much like your Bible. I said, okay. So then he started commenting on Brother Bob's shirts. He said, Brother Bob, I love your shirts. I love Bob Does Taxes. I love it. So Brother Bob got the hint, and Brother Bob on the very last day said, I'm going to bring you a Bob Does Taxes shirt. So he got my Bible and he got Brother Bob's shirt. So that's our dear brother. We left him. I wrote him a very long letter, and I was actually just talking to him this morning about presenting to you all this evening. So Samuel, be praying for him. He's got some financial needs. He was a pastor and his church shut down. And he has not been able to support himself financially, so he's needing support from some other people. So just a great man of the Lord. I hope he was representing me well when I was preaching. I can only trust that he was interpreting what I was saying the right way, but the people seemed to listen. And he was a great man there. Got a lot of pictures of him. That's a picture of our whole men's group. We're getting close to the end here. Oh, so by the way, at the end of the trip, they give us a little bit of a reward and let us go out into the jungle to look at animals. And so this is the vehicle that we rode in. And we saw water buffalo. We saw, what else did we see? We saw monkeys. We saw crocodiles. We saw impalas. We saw hippos. We saw elephants. We saw baboons. We saw zebras. More water buffalo. We saw giraffes. We saw, what else did we see? Rhinos. So as you can tell, we saw a lot of animals. So that's one perk if you get to go on the trip, if you're an animal lover. The last day, you're really worn out anyway from a long time of serving, but they take us out there, and that was really neat to see all those animals out in the wild. And that was, I'm not going to lie, I'm an animal lover, so that was a big day for me. I was up taking pictures and making sure that I didn't miss any of that. But that was just one of the rewards that they give us on the trip, is just an awesome time of fellowship and fun after. So I got to play this video for you because this is Pastor John, the head pastor. This is his testimony of our church, and I want you guys to hear this. Hopefully you can hear it and understand what he says.
All right, tell us about our team. This team is the best team ever.
All right, so he said we're the best team ever, and I believe that. I don't think he's lying to us, so we took that to heart, and I talked to Come Away Missions. By the way, Come Away Missions is the American missions company that is the go-between between Bible Way Baptist and American churches. And so I was talking to the Come Away leader, and she said that Pastor John loved our group. He wants more people to come from our group. He said that he wishes all the groups were as easygoing and fun, and he really enjoyed our time there, and he wanted to thank all of you for sending our group there. So like I said, on the last day, I got on one of the motorcycles and was able to ride on the motorcycle. As you can tell, this wasn't even when he was going the fastest. This was just him warming up. Because by the time he started going really fast, I couldn't get my phone out. I was too afraid of dropping it. So we were driving through Kigali. This is their big soccer stadium. So this is their national soccer stadium. It's huge. I think it holds like 60,000 people or something like that, they were telling us. They have a basketball stadium right next to them there. This is a picture of the memorial, the genocide memorial. If you see the holes in the roof there, those holes are original bullet holes and grenade fragments from the attack on the church that we visited. We visited a church where 10,000 people were killed. It's hard to fathom and quantify 10,000 people being killed in such a small space. And I won't get too graphic, but there were still remnants of the people that were slain that were still there. Their clothing was still there, and they leave it there as a memorial. As you can tell, that's the ground there where they threw one of the grenades to get into the building. Now, they would not let us take pictures inside of the church building, but I will say that it was a very sobering moment to understand what they have gone through in the Lord. This guy on the right is the pastor's son. He turned 29 while we were there, so John was like, we got to get him a cake. And so we ended up finding a bakery in Kigali, and we got him a birthday cake, and he was very excited about celebrating an American birthday there, so we had a good time there at the restaurant. That's one of the pictures of the kids that were holding up the sheep that we had lost. That's a picture of the church. A couple more here. Let's see if I can find any. There's Jonah holding up another kid again. And so that's an amazing thing to see. That's VBS. Here's another ministry that they have. It's called the Do Good Project. Every time an American team comes to Gahara, a bunch of the ladies come together and make a bunch of things. Craftsmen, artisans, they make dresses and jewelry and things like that. And they send it back to America, and it's sold in America to profit their ministry there and to help them. And so it's just one of the many ministries that they have going on there in Gahara. And so that was a picture of that. Of course, there's soccer. Remember, we were talking about soccer. That was a good, fun time there. Oh, people were asking about the food. That's a picture of the food there. A lot of fruit, a lot of good stuff. By the way, if one of the things that's holding you back from going is the food, I promise you it's the best food you've ever had. It's fresh. It doesn't feel nasty like some processed foods. It's really good, and I ate very well there. That's another picture of the ladies at Do Good. There's Brother Bob serving the meal. There's some of the kids eating. There's me and Jonah and Jeremy serving. There's some more people eating. There's our soccer intro. There's Jonah playing really good soccer. There's the guys on the sideline watching, laughing at all of the Americans falling down. There's some people worshiping, and that's the church, and that's them introducing us, children's ministry, men's choir. Of course, here's some of the working things that we did with moving the bricks. I was so humbled because we were moving the bricks, and these little kids came up, and they were wanting to help. They were wanting to take the bricks out of our hands. They didn't want us to work, and so it was just such a fun time together with them. So what I will say is this. I will take the next 5 minutes and just share with you just a few things about how you can be involved with this ministry. Obviously, the easiest and most basic way is financial support and prayer. Obviously, you know that we support 31 missionaries from all over the world. And so when we get closer to the end of the year, one of the many things that I'm going to present to you is that I feel like it would be a wonderful thing to have. Now, Pastor John is not able to come to the United States. I don't know if you guys understand the logistics of that, but he's not able to come. But one of the things he's willing to do is present himself via video and video call us and talk with us and share more about his heart. But one of the things that we could do as a church is support this ministry. And it would be supporting multi-facets. It would be supporting Bible Way Baptist there in Mayumbu, Bible Way Baptist there in Gahara. It would be supporting 2 Christian schools. It would be supporting, I think, 10 pastors. It would be there supporting the children for their food. But one way that you can immediately get involved right now is you can go to a website called comeawaymissions.com. And Come Away Missions has a tab that says sponsor a child. And one thing that you can do right away is click on one of the children. You have a picture and a bio of a child. I'm going to tell you, it's one of the first things that I did when I got back is sponsor one of these children. Because I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of places in the world that you might not know where your money's going to, but I can vouch as your pastor that I met these children. I know that these children are getting fed. I know that they're getting the gospel. And not only is it helping the children, but it's also helping the family. And so what I would say is one of the ways that you can get involved right away is by finding comeawaymissions.com, finding the sponsor a child, $42 a month, and it is a way that you could support a child right now and impact their life in such a way that is beyond our comprehension. For them to have medical insurance, for them to have food, for them to have a Christian school, for them to have support and a community is an amazing thing. And we had a chance to be in a few of the homes of the people that didn't have sponsored children. And they were pleading with us, please, we want our children sponsored. It's a prayer request because it's not a matter of them wanting or not wanting. Everybody in Gahara wants their children to go to this school. It's just a matter of whether or not their children are sponsored. And so that's one of the hard things is just having enough people. But on top of that, they need teachers. And another way that you can help is by sponsoring a teacher. You can actually go and pay for a teacher's salary. And by the way, their salary is so minimal compared to our salaries in America. Okay, when they told me how much they're living on, it blew me away. But they need to hire teachers. Teachers, just like in America, they don't work for free. And so there's a need for good, godly Christian teachers within the church and within the school. So that's one way that you can help. Another way that you can help is, as Pastor John says, he says, we want partners. I know that for some of you, you might say, I could never go to Africa. I understand that, but you could definitely pray and support someone else to go. But maybe God's pricking your heart to say, you know what, I could go. I will tell you that some of your concerns, food is not a concern. Safety is not a concern. Weather is not a concern. Legitimately, it's a long trip. It's a long trip. And so I will say that. But what I will say is that once you get there, it is a blessing and it is an encouragement. They want us back. They said, Pastor Josh, do you got next June open? We need you. We want you guys to come back. And I've had people say, why would you go back there? There's other places. There is, but it's hard to explain to you this feeling. And I don't expect you to understand it completely. But when we pulled out of Gahara, I felt like a little bit of my heart was right there. And it didn't steal anything away from Middletown Baptist. But what I'm saying to you is like, some people ask me, why don't you minister in California? Because my heart's in Middletown, Delaware. And so for me, I'm not saying that I won't go on another mission trip other places. I'm open to that. I'm open to see where God leads, and I think there's awesome opportunities all over the world. But I do know that it's a unique thing that people want people to come back and create long-distance relationships, long-term relationships. You know how amazing it'll be if Brother Bob got a chance to go back and talk to some of those men to see how they were doing? How are you doing with sharing your faith? My brother-in-law Isaac has gone back 7 times, and he's worked with the same youth sponsors. He started working with some kids when they were teenagers, and now they're teaching teenagers. And that's a really unique thing to see within the ministry. Sometimes mission trips you go and you never see them again. You never hear from them again. I can guarantee you this mission would be one that wants to communicate with us. And so pray about it. Next June, Lord willing, I'll be back in Rwanda. Lord willing, some of the other people that went will be going. Maybe someone new will come. But at the end of the day, it's what God's calling you to do. So pray about it. Think about it. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer those. Or if I don't have an answer for them, I have a direct line to Pastor John, and he would give me those answers right away. I can tell you, I've made a lot of friends with these folks. I'm learning Kinyarwanda through Google Translate, okay? So they're texting me, and I love when they text me at 5 a.m. on Sunday mornings, because they're so excited to show me that they're in church. They're like, Pastor Josh, look, I'm in church. They did that this morning, and I'm like, hey guys, I see you. I'm still sleeping. I got about 6 more hours before I'm in church. But so then I wait till late at night, and I send them a video of us at church and wake them up at night. So, but it's been a blessing for sure. And so again, I want to echo what the other fellas said. Thank you so much for your prayers. Thank you so much for your support. In many ways, you were able to go there by way of extension. And I wish I could bottle up what's going on there and just give you a taste of it. Because part of it is I'm coming back here and I want to unload it to you, but I understand that it might be very difficult to understand the bigger picture. But what I will say is just pray about how you can be a missionary where you are. You might not be able to fly to Rwanda, but you might be able to be a missionary in your workplace, in your home, in your community. And think about ways in which you can share the gospel. We thought we were going to go share the gospel and no one was going to know about the gospel, but believe it or not, many of the people there knew the gospel. But they're so hungry because there's a need for discipleship. Just like there's a need for discipleship in America, there's a need for discipleship in Rwanda. And I'm sure there's a need for discipleship in Argentina and in Mexico and in Canada and all over the world. And so what this did was it really allowed us to see the perspective of the importance of Acts 1:8. To minister in your Jerusalem, to minister in Judea, to minister in Samaria, but ultimately the goal would be to preach the gospel to every creature. And so, as Brother Jeremy mentioned, I hope that to some degree we had an impact on their lives, but I definitely know that there was an impact on our lives from the cause of the gospel and the unity that we found there. So with that being said, I know it's late. I know we've gone an hour and a half. And so what I'll do is I'll open it up for any immediate, pressing questions that you might have, and I'll take about 5 minutes, and then if there's no questions, I'll